I'd like to start by also thanking your Access and Vicky and Dinah for invitation and our awesome friends for hosting us. And I'm also told that I'm the last speaker before lunch, so I'm supposed to keep your attention alive for a few more minutes, so I'll try something a bit different. So my name is Alberto Riva. I'm a bioinformatics scientist at the University of Florida in beautiful Gainesville. And I'm here as a representative of the Miami Scientific Italian community, which I'm going to call Miami SIC from now on. The Miami SIC is a nonprofit association that has its main mission to foster and support the technological exchange between Italian scientists working in our area, in the southeastern United States in general, and Italy. And when I say Italy, I mean both the, not just the academic environment in Italy, but also institutional organizations and the business world. And in particular, it's highly focused on maintaining connections with small and medium businesses in Italy. This is a relatively young organization. It was founded in 2014. It's still relatively small. It's highly ambitious. We have a new president that's been in charge for the last couple of years who has a lot of very ambitious plans and is really trying to move this forward to the next level. But as again, it's a small organization, it's young. I don't yet have a lot of success stories to tell about it. So what I thought I was going to do is to tell a little bit of my own personal story and try to connect it with the theme of this meeting, innovation and how it benefits society, and try to explain what role an organization like Miami SIC could play in this context. This is also something that's strictly connected to what your Access is doing. And, okay. So just to talk a little bit briefly about where I come from and what I do, I have an engineering and computer science background, but my whole career has been at the intersection between these disciplines and the biomedical field. So I started in the early 90s doing a PhD in bioengineering, and this was the early days of the World Wide Web, and what we did was to create one of the first telemedicine systems based on the web back at the time when people only had modem connections at home to connect to the internet. Tools were very, very primitive. But we already had the idea to try to combine technological process with things that really have an impact on society. In this case, our application was diabetes care, which is, as you probably all know, is a major it's a major issue. It's one of the diseases that has the highest social cost in Western societies. Then in '99, I moved to Children's Hospital in Boston, and while I was there, I transitioned from the medical informatics field to bioinformatics and genomics. And I've been in that field ever since. In 2006, I moved to the University of Florida, and I now manage a bioinformatics core that essentially handles the needs of what is the largest medical and academic research center in the whole area between Atlanta and Miami. We're basically very large area with a very active research community. And the reason why I'm mentioning all this is that in this field, I've been able to witness what I think is one of the most breathtaking technological advances in that I can think of, what is now called the genomics revolution. So when I started in this field, was a time when the Human Genome Project was completed, the sequencing for the first time of the entire human genome. That was a project that required an international effort that lasted for about 10 years. Total investment was almost $3 billion just to generate the first draft of the human genome. Today, we can do the same thing in our labs in a matter of days for a few $1,000s, like less than $5,000, let's say. So this has really been an impressive technological advancement. It will be like in aviation to go from the first flight of the Wright brothers to the Airbus A380 in 15 years. So it's really something comparable to that. And not only this is amazing from the technological point of view, but it's also obviously something that has very, very big repercussions on society. So the fact that they were now able to sequence the genome of any human individual means that we're getting closer and closer to the promise of personalized medicine. We're closer and closer to being able to tailor therapies and drugs to the individual rather than having to go through very costly and time-consuming clinical trials. So this brings us closer to the ability to treat effectively diseases like diabetes, I just mentioned, cancer. We have more and more advanced and impressive tools. We are now able to observe gene expression within each individual cell. We can go in and fix errors with very high precision. And these are all advances that, again, not only are technically impressive, but they're also going to have very, very significant impacts on all our societies. Now, this is only one of the reasons why people like us, researchers like us, may at some point decide that they want to give something back, so to speak. And since we're all coming from European countries and most of us were educated there, it's natural to think that, well, I've learned how to do these things, I have all these tools at my disposal, let's give something back, let's see if we can make an impact in our own countries of origin. So I'm going to take the viewpoint of someone like me who has done most of his research career in the United States, but at some point may want to go back to Europe and try to apply and try to bring back the expertise and the skills and the technology that we developed here to the European society. So there may be other reasons, of course. There may be just be family reasons, or we may want to take advantage of free education, free healthcare, maybe for the food or for the coffee, or there may be more opportunistic reasons. We may believe that with the skills that we have acquired and developed here may give us a competitive advantage if we go back to Europe. There may be fields where research and technology there are not yet as advanced, and so it may be a strategic decision to try to move back and take advantage of that. So whatever the reason is, it's something that a lot of us are probably thinking about, and the fact that we call ourselves a diaspora kind of implies that, right? The fact that we have ties to our home countries that we want to maintain, and that we do not come here with the idea of staying here forever. Most of us probably. The fact that we're all in this room proves that, and the fact that organizations like Eurexis exist. So, but of course, the journey back across the ocean in the other direction may be, in some cases, even more difficult than the one coming here. For example, just citing the Italian case, getting back into Italian universities after you leave them is essentially impossible. There are famous cases of people who have won a Nobel Prize, and then they try to get a professor position in Italy, and they were denied. So it's true. So, but even without that, I mean, there may be other reasons why adapting to the academic environment in Europe, and especially in Italy, may be difficult after trying it here. We all know the approach is very different. American universities tend to be more business-like, more dynamic, they have more resources. And it may be a bit difficult to adapt to a different way of doing things once if we try to go back. So what I'm getting at is, an alternative is to focus strictly on technology transfer and try to find other opportunities, maybe outside the academic world, to resell what we have developed and what we have learned here. And so this is where I think organizations like Eurexis first and also Miami SIC can play a very important role, because, again, that's also not a straightforward path. There are many, many reasons why trying to get into the business, try to get into the commercial sector in Europe may be equally difficult, coming from a different reality like the one here in the United States. So we know that, well, first of all, the issue of regulation and bureaucracy, it's all very different. We've heard earlier about tools that are in place here in the United States to facilitate technology transfer and spin-off and so on, like SBIR grants. What is the equivalent in Europe? We've heard something about this, but it is pretty hard from this side of the ocean to have a good picture of what all the opportunities are and what are the steps to get there, what you need to be worried about, what you need to know, how do you go around finding the necessary support. Also, having a network of connections and support is very important. We spend years developing that here in the country where we live and work, and then having to redo the same process going back to our own home countries or even to a different country in Europe can be daunting. So there's also a very different approach in Europe to risk, to to how you go about either joining a business or creating a business. Here in this country, you can create a company in 30 minutes without getting up from your couch. We all know that in Europe, things are not nearly as straightforward. So it's probably not as easy as I described it, but still. So again, getting back to the main point, this I think is where organizations like MiamiSIC can play a very, very important role, both in facilitating moving scientists back to Europe, which provides a benefit to the scientists themselves, but also bringing back technologies, expertise, and skills, which also has an impact on society as a whole. So the way that MiamiSIC is approaching this is by having very, very strong connections to strategic players in Italy, and this is not limited to universities. There are links to some of the largest universities in Italy, but also to government organizations that support small and medium businesses. And the Italian economy is highly focused on small and medium business, but we all say that that's what makes Italy go forward. And these are the businesses that usually are more nimble. They have a faster turnaround time. They're better able to take new technologies and bring them to market. And so these may be very good channels for Italian, or not just Italian, but for scientists in general who may want to use this as a way to go back. Give you some more details. So this organization was founded by a group of Italian scientists, mostly in the medical field. As I said, about 4 or 5 years ago. Now it's grown to 40 scientific members and an almost equal number of members in an international advisory board, which includes some very prominent people. And its main mission is to act then as a matchmaker between Italian scientists and companies who may be interested in acquiring and reusing technology developed here, and also potentially in offering job opportunities. It also provides, well, it has 6 main areas of activity. One of them is networking and bidding, so finding opportunities that may be available both at the national level and at the European level. So in this sense, it kind of overlaps a little bit with what Euraccess does. But it also offers services that are more targeted at specific technologies, like design services. So you have an idea, you want to go from analysis of your idea to creating a prototype, research and development, training, communications and marketing, and finally, marketing and finance. How you go about finding funding, venture capital for your idea, which, as we know, in Europe is a bit harder than in this country. So basically, these are all the different types of actions that this organization wants to put in place to support moving technologies and human capital back from this country to Europe and to Italy in general. And this is all I have. Thank you.
Oh yeah, Dima, you get the mic, yes?
Yes, it's a 2-part question, but first of all, thank you to everyone who is here. It's a bit of shameless advertising here. Could each of you reflect on your dealing or your interaction with Euraccess in as far as helping to animate your network, your scientific diaspora here in North America? And my second question is to the audience. Who here wants to start a diaspora? Please find me. No one? Are you all part of a European scientific diaspora in North America? Hands up if you are. So I repeat my question. Who here wants to start a European scientific diaspora? Oh, Dietrich, we're going to have to do a lot better than this.
You scare them off, you know? That's so much pressure, you know? Well, we have to deal with that. We have to deal with that. So thanks for the question to us. So I can start, you know, because last year I was here for the first time and you invited me back. Thank you. And last year it was my first week in the job for GAIN, you know. So I learned so much, and I got a first network of different diasporas in Europe to learn from each other and to see how far they are in the process and what their aims are. So it's very important to me, and I learned so much from Euraccess, and that gives me the opportunity not only to thank you and Vicky for this conference, but for your work all year long. And I know that from GAIN, you know, that if you have an annual conference, everyone focus on this, you know, and there's so much more work to be done during the year. And yeah, so it's highly appreciated that you rustle us up here every year. And I will be back next year, for sure.
Yes, I also would like to thank the invitation. And I remember when I was here the first time, when it was the first Euraccess meeting, and I joined the New York Hungarian Scientific Society and my first organized diaspora, actually. And I had no idea what to say, what to do, but I went back home to New York with all the excitement that how much possibilities are in these diasporas. And it's not just a community of 30 people who get together on one topic, but there are many, many things in it. And we had amazing annual events on mentorship programs and all the other Euraccess events, which just made me think and try to build something bigger and better every year. So thank you so much, Vicky and Riva.
Yeah, so I mean, as I mentioned before, for me, I think science is inherently something that is larger just as a small country, and I think that there's something like Euraccess now is a great start, and I think we have to grow that substantially. You know, both as an organization, but also in a mindset. I think even just getting together and hearing from the initiatives from all other countries, you know, we think that this is the way we do it, this works for us, but there are so many new ideas that we can also pick up from each other. So even if it's just for that to bring us all together and share ideas, that's certainly already a check here. And I think when we then as a next step think about maybe even joint activities, and I think we'll talk about the mentorship program afterwards. I think this is something that where we could really move towards, network our organizations together, learn from each other, and work together. That's certainly a great point, because in the end, we are all representing European researchers and the great stuff that European researchers are doing here, back home into Europe, and that's actually one of the last points that I wanted to add in terms of outreach. One thing that we do is really try to work very hard also with the media and journalists over in Austria when there's a great publication from an Austrian scientist, we want to make sure that this is featured in the Austrian press. So I think to think about that on a European level to represent back home what great success European science is contributing not only to North America, but eventually globally through networks like that. I think that's really the key. I think this we have a long way to go. I think that's a wonderful nucleus that is happening here. So I'm looking forward to the next years working together.
Well, same here. I think what Euraccess allowed me to, although I do live in Washington D.C., I really allows me access to the European community and really being part of that community. Although I live here, it's been really inspiring and facilitating for many of our ideas that we put forward. Thank you so much.
Okay, I have to be candid and admit that I didn't know about Euraccess until very recently. So what the answer to the question is that it would have been very useful to know about it when I moved to the United States, and I hope that it can give support to people who are now doing what we did years ago. So just to go back to my personal experience, when I left Italy, I went to Boston. I basically didn't know anybody. It was just kind of a jump in the dark. What helped me a lot was to join the MIT European Club, which was a student organization. I was not a student at MIT, but they didn't mind. I mean, they allowed me to join anyway. And that is really what helped me, first of all, make friends, find people to do things with, and also get integrated into what it means to live in a place like Boston. And it was mostly, the main activity I did was pub tours. So, but still, having some kind of support network and some kind of organization around you that can welcome you and keep you in touch with people that you have a lot in common with, more than you have with Americans, is something that, in my case, was very useful, and that's the organization that did it for me. So and it was an embryo of what I think Euraccess is now, and of course on a much smaller scale, they were trying to do kind of the same thing. They organized career fairs to help people not just stay in their labs, but develop career opportunities and so on. So that is that was very useful for me, and I believe that your access can be very much useful to people who are taking the same step at this point.